Hi, everybody. We're back. It's the first Thirsty Thursday of 2021. It feels like we've been back at work for more than just 4 days, Susan, doesn't it?
It really does. It's been a week, hasn't it? Not in a bad way, but just I think everyone's getting used to it. Maybe because everyone took such a deep chill for a change over the whole Christmas holidays.
I think you're right. I think people just decided, I'm going to completely shut down. And now we're feeling the effects of completely shutting down, having to get back in the swing.
You know what I missed though? I really missed Thirsty Thursday for the 2 weeks that we were off. Because every time I looked at a story, I felt the need to call someone and tell them about it because I wasn't able to get it out of my
Thursday about it. Yeah.
Right. So here we are, and it has been a juicy week. We'll get to that, but first, in a nod to our tradition of rounding up what it is we're speaking about on our podcast on the same week, this morning we had our first sort of fresh episode of the year, in which we interviewed some very cool people, right, Will? Would you like to talk to that? It's kind of on topic too for the rest of what we're saying.
Yeah, it was a good news story. It was a business that was born amidst a pandemic. I think they were both in the hospitality business, got laid off at the beginning of the lockdown back in March. A fateful night of baking and eating cookies led to them realizing that these were really good cookies. They made more cookies, shared with friends. Then they ended up, because the demand was so high, they actually opened a business and they sell their cookies under the name Courage Cookies. And a big portion of their profits go to various causes they support. I know one of their concerns at the beginning was, we're unemployed, we don't really have a way to give back. So by creating this, especially like when there was the PPE shortage and things like that. So by creating this company, and it's been so successful, they've got so much support. If you listen to the episode, you'll hear when they actually got into a serious trolling with some anti-maskers over the Adamson's barbecue thing that happened here in Toronto. So you hear a great story and you get some inside dish too.
Yeah,
great episode.
It's true. It was very interesting to hear that, because we talked about how virality is everybody thinks virality is the best thing ever, but this kind of virality, what does it feel like? You know what I really loved in the episode? They're called Courage Cookies now because they're fans of alliteration, much like us around here. But apparently originally they called it COVID cookies, and they put it in brown bags, and the greasy brown bag was had a toilet paper piece glued or stapled onto it with the name of the cookies, which I thought was so like cool. But maybe Ian and Chelsea were saying that maybe it's not like for the long haul. So they switched.
Cookies I think fits quite well. So give that episode a listen. We'll put the link to the episode in the comments below here. We wanted to obviously acknowledge what was going on yesterday. Of course, we weren't going to get away, a few more weeks without something major happening due to Trump. And it was, wow, I was really rattled yesterday watching it all unfold. But let's put a spin on it here, Susan, with, brands wake up the next day, this big monumental event happened. People are shook. We were talking about how, again, what should brands be, thinking about right now?
I think to me, it's heartening to see that this morning there were headlines about brands that are pausing their campaigns and, pulling ads and things like that. Because I know back when COVID broke out in March, one of the things that we kept saying over and over again was like, you need to stop, drop, and roll. That's how crisis communication operates. You can't just keep running with what you have. And to my mind, it's good to see that. It's good to see that brands are like, oof, maybe now's not the perfect time to talk about my ketchup variant or whatever when America is burning.
Or even last night too, when I was scrolling and it would be like people, speaking up, saying something, mentioning how if this had been the Black Lives Matter protesters at the Capitol, how different this would have been instead of a mob of angry white people. And then all of a sudden you'd have the latest post by an influencer, like kind of oblivious to everything going on. So I think, again,
that's the tone, right? We often said that at the start of the pandemic.
It's understandable that people, might not be able to react as quickly. But by this morning, are you going to say anything? Do you want to change some automation that's going on? Tensions are tight, and even with your employees too. I'm not just talking about your external audience. Like, check how your employees are doing. I think this is wearing on so many people, and people are handling it very differently. So be sensitive to your crew.
I agree. As well, I thought noteworthy was the fact that Trump's Twitter account was finally blocked for 12
That was
hours.
exciting news. Finally.
Yeah, 12 hours was not nearly enough to my mind. Whoopsie, I'll get into trouble with someone.
It took him inciting a literal riot like we've never seen attack the institutions of democracy there, literally attack them. That's what it took to get him shut down on Twitter, and only for 12 hours. He's back.
Only for 12 hours.
Back. Yeah.
Well, whatever. At least it was his stance, and I'll take it for now.
Yeah.
So there's that. What else did we have on our list of things? Yes, we wanted to talk about some other shame-worthy things around here in our backyard.
Yeah, so right now we're all fed up with a lot of things, right? Like the lockdown, being confined to your home and only going out for essential things, it's wearing thin on people. So when we see people traveling and having a good time overseas and their wonderful, beautiful beach shots, it's like salt in the wound right now. In Canada, we've had some government officials who it was discovered they were off to St. Bart's or Mexico or wherever, right? And they've been dealing with that backlash over the past week or so. There's an Instagram account I told you about, Susan, that I've been living for, but it's a little controversial. It's called Gays Over COVID. This really came into the limelight right after that New Year's Eve party boat of Puerto Vallarta party gays sinking, right? And so this account, it exposes people who should know better. For instance, there's actually a picture of a nurse, a doctor, someone who works in a hospital in LA getting the vaccine. 2 days later, he was pictured in Puerto Vallarta partying it up, unmasked, bodies everywhere. And so this account literally is calling out privileged gays who probably wear a mask by day. As soon as it's night, the top's off, they're at the club or they're heading to Puerto Vallarta. The controversy is it's actually calling them out by name, so potentially putting people in danger. Also, it is kind of just reinforcing this party gay stereotype that exists, but it does.
And do we need that? Is I guess the question.
But we're at such a point, Susan, I'm like, what else can we do? It's come to the point where I'm actually okay with public shaming, and I never used to be. I'm okay with shaming these people. So I wanted to put it to you and ask, how do you feel about this, first of all? Do you feel this is our last resort to try to make people behave and do for the better good? Has it come to literally calling them out with sassy quips and comments on Instagram, but still, it's calling them out in many people.
I don't know. I wish I had a definitive answer. I think that in this moment, I hate to say it, but I'm like, it's okay. If the shaming's what it takes, then the shaming it is, which kind of sucks because like you said, neither of us are that type of human and we've gotten to that place. Yeah, you know what? In a few other occasions as well, I've said this. If people completely do not respond to what you expect them to, it's fair game. Is it the right honorable thing to do? Probably not, but it's fair game. Also that account is hilarious.
It's well done. So check the Gays Over COVID. It is well done. And I wanted to talk to you too about something we saw in the Globe and Mail that, again, we're being told it's being reinforced right now because of our officials who got caught traveling. Do not travel unless it's essential. Right. But this Globe and Mail article pointed out that Air Canada's partnered with influencers who over December were taking pictures on beaches, like sponsored Air Canada vacation pictures. What is this mixed messaging and how is it okay?
Yeah, that sucks. When I read that piece about influencers being paid for it by Air Canada, I was like, oof, is that actually true? It is apparently. Yeah. So I don't know. What do we need right now? I know we started to talk about this and, we started to get into like a mini debate on some parts of it. But what do we need right now? Do we need like a higher state of consciousness, a better moral compass? Do we need our leaders to smack us and tell us to behave? Like what are we lacking?
I know, because they call it COVID fatigue, COVID annoyance, but you and I are both still being as good as we can. A lot of my friends are very strict about what they do and what they see. Then a lot of people I know, again, they're happy to put a mask on to go into a store, but then they're up at a cottage with 10 friends who they don't have in their various households. It really does speak to people with privilege and money. Unless there's a law, unless there's a consequence. Saying, hey, if we see this happening, you will literally be fined, or we want your neighbor to tell on you. We don't want it to come to that, but I don't know.
Well, there you have it, folks. The start of 2021, for everyone who's like, it's going to be a new year, a new life, a new day. Well, it's an extension of 2020 so far.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe by the end of January, maybe it's a slow turnover. Maybe we'll start to see some good news then. But it was nice seeing you, Susan.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.